He's always been on his own, you know, dated quite a few women and that. And it is that bloke who has had some sexual fun with a few other Christian women on Christian dating sites. However, I think he has changed a bit since his girlfriend's a strict Christian woman waiting for marriage. He's not too sure though. Well, that's what he's told me. Who knows? Although it's not good to lie, is it? It says in the Bible, all liars will be thrown into the lake of fire. Look it up yourselves. I've always wondered that. All liars. It doesn't say except for the Christians in brackets. And you can look on YouTube. In fact, don't watch at night Christians in hell. That will scare you to death. In fact, I've stopped watching stuff regarding hell because it just plays on my mind. And I know it's real because it's in the Bible. But we're not all perfect. And I do believe that's I don't know, but we've got to get to heaven, my friends. We've got to get to heaven. We've got to make sure. We've got to keep repenting. We've got to keep on that path, my friends. Now, he did say, it's best, I'd meet a woman in church. That's what he said. Well, I always find it a bit awkward and hard. Now, even though that I've had quite a few dates and some women have turned me down, there's been a few instances in my life, like that lass who I made a mess up when it was Valentine's Day, which I mentioned a couple of years ago. I don't know if anybody remembered. Wondering what would have happened if he didn't come out that day, because it might have actually clicked. When I went out, I might have overheard Valentine's Day and thought, oh, Valentine's Day, oh, hello, such and such, bought her a few drinks and we might have had a meal together and that and stuff. However, a woman who I did approach to in church a few years ago, I did sense that she probably wasn't bothered, but I thought, I'll give it a go. And I've got to admit, I think it's because my dad once had a vision that I'd meet a woman in church. He had a right strong thing. And I thought, when I was going up to this particular woman, I thought, could it be? Yeah. I think I would have preferred having a coffee with her, or a lager, and then us both deciding that we're not a match, rather than overthinking. Because I'll tell you what, she definitely changed her mind. I saw something unfold right before my eyes. But the plan, a certain situation, didn't happen. When I approached her and she said no, a couple of months after, well, she changed her mind. And I didn't know what to do or say anything, to be honest. I felt the body language, she changed her mind. Now, on a certain day when I went to church, I could see her on the front, smiling and laughing next to this woman who she was sat next to. And I thought, something's going to happen. I felt something strong. I didn't feel too good though that day. I'm not joking. I felt a bit off. Anyway, after the service, I was talking to some people who I currently know, who's part of my area, my home group and that. Two of her friends came right at the other side of the church, and looking at me. Well, I caught them off guard. I think they were going to approach me from behind or something and say, "Excuse me, our friend such and such changed her mind. Do you fancy having a coffee with her or something?" That's what I think. And if I'm wrong, I deserve 10 giraffes to shit on my head. How about that? But if I'm right, I deserve to go on Sid Roth's It's Supernatural. Anyway, I turned round and they were there. They were absolutely gobsmacked. They looked like two statues, her two friends. No flinch, no smile, no movement. They seriously looked like two statues. But then again, I probably did to them. And they might have thought, oh, he looks a little bit ugly. You know, because I weren't smiling. We were probably like that. It looked like a video that got paused. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, they were going to say something. He wasn't going to say to me, hey, tell you what, pal, nice trainers. Where'd you get them from? I've seen them a couple of times and I won't mind a pair myself. He wasn't going to say, mate, I've had a dream that me and you went to Alton Towers. Fancy going with me? No. They weren't going to say, they were going to say, our friend has changed her mind, but they never said anything. They froze. And I think it's that what actually did it with me. It seemed obvious. And then her other friend got involved quite a few months after, and I could see her other friend, Mickey or something, were talking to her husband, and they were both looking at me. Anyway, they approached me, and he says, "Oh, hello, hello. Oh, sorry, I thought it was such and such. I thought it was somebody else." Anyway, we were having a good chat, but I thought it was, I had a right strong thought. He did that on purpose. And it reminded me once, ages ago, years ago, when I worked at a warehouse, and the manager used to think that I did a mistake and shout my name right loud, and I used to walk at bottom, and then he used to say, right quiet, oh, it wasn't you that did it, it was such and such. And he did that about 3 times. I had a right strong thought. He did that on purpose to make me look daft with the bosses on that and stuff who could hear. I never heard him mention about that other guy who did mistakes, because that other guy were a bit stocky and that and stuff, and I thought, yeah, probably a little bit scared of him. I had a strong thought he did it purposely, and it's a strong thought which came to my mind when that lass from church, her other friend and husband came up to me and said, I thought you were such and such. I nearly said, you're a fibber. Anyway, we had a good chat, we had a good conversation, and I thought, what a genuine friendly bloke, top bloke. And I know I might have sounded a little bit negative then, but it's how he approached me. Oh, hello, I thought you were another person. I thought, I don't look like him. He looks older, uglier. And I thought, no, but I got, we were friendly, and I thought, oh, what a good bloke. I did him on Facebook, but his wife, well, I got on stage once, and it was as though she were talking to me. I really need to have a word with such and such, and her eyes were like piercing at me. Well, you won't believe it. Her other friend approached me in church, and that was the first time ever. And I thought, if she did that purposely, that wasn't very professional at all, I don't think. And that was the friend of the woman who I approached, but I reckon she's the one that put her off. Anyway, last year, for 2 weeks, I had a right strong thought. Get him off Facebook. You know, that guy who sent friendly, who were talking and that, and I thought, what a friendly bloke. We probably were. Get him off Facebook. Said his name. This thought, what I had, it wasn't. I was getting it every day, and I was trying to shrug it off. Anyway, the last few days, I kept ignoring it, and I kept thinking, oh, why? I'm getting a right buzz here. His wife. Now, the last few days, when I did decide to unfriend him, no offence or anything like that to him, but sometimes you've got to do things, what I believe, what God says, even though they were good Christians, you know. His wife is doing something on your Facebook, and I had that strong for 3 days. I had to remove him, and when I removed him, I had peace then. So it just shows you, doesn't it? Why did that situation happen in church? Now, I believe that when something like that isn't going to work out, then God is trying to move us to somewhere else, possibly. So the doors come open, and there's something else for us. Do you know what I mean? That's what I believe. Now, her 2 friends I do truly believe they were going to come up to me. If I ever get friends with him, I'm going to say, remember this date? We are 2 going to come up to me. Let me get Bible open. Swear on the Holy Bible now. Put your fingers on it. I truly believe they were going to mention it. Just if friends changed their mind. And I think it was that what really bugged me, made me even more disappointed, if I'm honest. Because I saw it with her body language. She changed her mind. I would have preferred to have a coffee with her or a drink, you know, and then say, but it was just one of them things. And I was thinking, you know, some other people probably found out and that and stuff, and I wasn't enjoying going anymore. But I was staying because I thought, is this the place where God wants me to be? Why did it happen? I don't know. I don't think it should have happened in church. Or God should have made it clear that she wasn't for me in a dream or something. I did actually have a vision. That's why I approached her once. God told me to come off plenty of fish, and I saw her in a vision, but that's why I approached her. Obviously, it wasn't. We've got to be careful with visions, haven't we? And that's why I was telling somebody that my dad always had a vision. My dad had a vision that I would meet a woman in church, and it's never happened. So I always had that pierced in my head. It might happen. It might still happen, but I'm not thinking about that now all the time. In fact, when I went to